All right, how do you argue with your woman? In fact, I don't think you should argue at all with her. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually de-escalate fights and actually get it to some sort of a conclusion, even if she's a spicy type of woman. I deal with betrayal a lot. As you can see, I have this book, Betrayed to Badass, that I wrote, dealing my own betrayal and like what happens with all the thousands of guys that come through my program. Actually, it's an instruction manual on how to deal with it if it's happened in your life. In this place of betrayal, most guys don't know how to argue with their woman. In fact, what it ends up happening is if something's not going well for him in his relationship and he doesn't have boundaries and he tells her no one time and she loses her mind, or she belittles him and berates him for forever and ever and ever, and what ends up happening, he just gets tired of it. And for most men, he just gets tired. And he realizes that this is my life, this is the woman I married, and this is what I'm having to deal with. And so he just gets tired. And so for him, it's not worth having the argument anymore. It's not worth trying to dive into it. And he may even try to get her to go to marriage counseling. He may try to get her to go to a therapist, and she ain't going to have it. I mean, why should she? She's not the problem in her eyes. So let me take you to the board, and we'll talk about how you can actually have an effective argument with your woman so it doesn't turn into a fucking knockdown, three-ring shit show with plates and all that stuff flying all over the place. Okay, so something happened, and you want to make a change. In fact, you know that you can't tell your wife anything, because anytime you tell her something, this is usually what happens. You want to evoke change in your wife. One of two things happens. One, she shuts down. In other words, she just gets real quiet. Gets real quiet. And you're like, hey, baby, did you hear what you said? And she's like, yeah. And she gets real dejected, takes it super personal. And this is why. Because she knows she makes mistakes, but for whatever reason, the way you said it, she's seeing it as, you don't accept me as a person. Which, to her, you being her man, that should be the number one thing that you should do, is accept her. And you're like, no, baby, I accept you. I just don't want you to piss on the toilet seat. I know you don't do that, but I couldn't think of anything else. So she's like, you don't accept me. You're like, no, that's not it. I just want you to change this thing. It just kind of annoys me. And so she'll shut down. Or she'll go, why should I care about the toilet seat? You leave it up all the time. And then so what she'll do is she'll attack you. And her main method of attack will be deflection. She'll go and point out everything you're doing wrong. Why should she listen to you when you're such a fuck up? It's pretty much the point she's going to make. And you're like, oh, this doesn't go anywhere, because all I do is she either shuts down or she attacks me. And then we have an argument, and nothing ever changes. I just get tired of it. I get tired of being emotionally berated. She doesn't listen, so why are we doing this anyway? And so this is where you're at. So instead of just making a statement, here we go. First, state what you want in just a couple of sentences. That's it. Just state it. Say, hey, I don't like it. First sentence, I don't like it. Second sentence, it being whatever it is. Right? I don't like it when you yell at the kids. Then the second sentence, this is going to be your statement of fact. Okay, this will be fact. Factual statement. Fact. Second one is feelings. When you do it, I feel like drawing a blank. Or I feel angry, right? And then she's going to be like, what the fuck? I can't believe you can't understand me in my life. I can't believe that you would even say all this stuff. So in other words, she's going to go into probably one or two of these things, a deflection or a shutdown. So for instance, my wife, if I say, I don't like it when you yell at the kids, I feel like you're just letting your anger out and not trying to really address the problem. And then she's going to shut down because she's like, yeah, I did yell at the kids and I'm not proud of it. And so she'll go shut down. Or she'll go into attack you and then she'll say, oh yeah, well, I can't believe you can't see how frustrated I am and whatever. She can say, well, I wouldn't have to deal with this if you were doing something different. And so when this happens, One, if she shuts down, you can always come back later and say, well, we'll get into this here in a second. Both of them have very similar solutions. If she attacks, one, don't take it personally. A lot of women, they are not objective in the way that they argue with you. They will go right for your fucking throat. Why? Because she doesn't want to reflect on herself. She doesn't want to see it. And so it's easier for her to just attack you and deflect on what you're doing wrong instead of make it about her and changing her behavior, especially if she's already ramped up and spicy about something else going on. So don't take it personally. Just notice she's having a moment, and that's it. If you're having this problem of happy wife, happy life, this is usually where you get fucked up. Because she'll start coming after you like, now she's not happy with me, and now I screwed up because I pissed her off, and if I did this right, I wouldn't piss her off. The problem is you can't be afraid to piss your wife off. You can't. Just because she's mad doesn't mean that she hates you. It just means she's having a moment. And you can't get wrapped up in that moment. You got to chill the fuck out, bro. And that's what I tell my clients all the time. Like, chill the fuck out, bro. It's actually become a thing. And two, assume that it's just a test. A test of what? Well, she's not necessarily testing you in the sense of like, I'm going to test him. I'm going to see what he does. I mean, she could. But generally what it is it's a test for yourself. Can you hold capacity and space for the firestorm to happen in front of you? Or are you so uncomfortable with it that you have to put it out as fast as possible by apologizing and saying, I'm sorry, baby, I shouldn't have said it, and doing all this stuff, putting her on a pedestal? No, it's a test of your capacity, your emotional capacity. And this is what most guys don't have very much emotional capacity at all, which is why they're always trying this happy wife, happy life game. And then, in fact, they find that their wife is not that happy, she doesn't want to fuck him that much, and she's more irate than ever before, even though he's doing everything he can for her, and it just isn't enough. If that's you, this is where you're at. Oh, yeah, I've got three things here. One, it's a test of your emotional capacity. The second one is that she's going to test if you're a liar. In other words, is it really true what you just said? Do you actually stand by what you said? Are you actually a strong dude in that? Or are you just coming up with some bullshit? And because you're just upset, right? Or three, she's emotionally dysregulated. She needs somebody to help her lead her out of that place. So she's trying to use you as a co-regulation tool. She's trying to co-regulate with you. And in the fact that she gets spicy is going to be all three of these, right? She's going to come up and you say, hey, I don't like it when you yell at the kids. And she's like, oh, yeah, what the fuck are you going to do? Do you have a better solution? Right? So she's testing your emotional capacity. She sees if you're a liar, if you're actually going to stand by it, and she's seeing if you'll help her regulate. What's the fucking solution, hero guy? You can't even make your own fucking bed in the morning. You're going to tell me how to discipline the kids? So like your way of living your life, which would be a liar statement, by the way, if you can't lead yourself effectively, if you're yelling at the kids all the time, then you get onto her for yelling at the kids. She's calling you out for being a fucking liar. And that you have no emotional capacity. And who are you to help her regulate or tell her anything? In this case, she would be right. So, in that situation, what you would do is go fix the way you operate. And then come back and have the discussion with her. Because then you'd be a hypocrite if you don't. So assume it's a test. Don't take it personally. And then start questioning her. She's going to get upset. And say, okay, what set you off? You come up, she's like yelling at the kids, hey, baby, what set you off? What's going on? Well, he's, okay, cool. And this is usually the point. The guy tries to mediate because he has no emotional capacity, right? He tries to mediate between him. He's trying to mediate between the stepmom and her children and his children, right? Because he has no emotional capacity to let her vent. And he's like, oh, what's going on? What happened? She loses her mind, right? If she's attacking you or whatever, it's the same thing. What's setting you off? Why does this make you upset? And then you're going to keep asking her questions. Why is that? And she's like, well, I'm just curious. Like, why is that? I just want to know what's going on with you. Why is that? Why is that? And you're just going to keep diving into the root of it. Coaching is a lot like this too. You got to get to the root of the matter. It's not just, hey, the kid didn't fold his laundry, or didn't turn his clothes inside out. It's not that at all. What it is how it made her feel and her place in the house in relation to that. She can say, what set you off? Like, hey, I don't like you yelling at the kids. What the fuck you going to, right? So you sit there and you're stoic. You're not unemotional, but you're not responding emotionally to her. You can still feel what's going on with her, and I recommend that you do. You don't want to be a robot where she can't feel you at all. See, part of this is her feeling you, feeling her. She wants to feel that you're feeling her. Then what she'll see from you is she'll see, oh, he's empathetically seeing what's going on, and he's holding space, he's coming up with solutions and getting to the bottom of it, and leading me out of this horrible place. Trust me, she doesn't want to be there either. She doesn't want to be an unhinged maniac. She doesn't want to be crazy. She wants to be calm, cool, and collected like you. But if you get all wrapped up in it too, and you start following what's going on there, then you got two people unhinged. And how are you going to lead the relationship? You're not leading at that point. You're just reacting to the firestorm. And so you must hold space, hold the capacity. Don't react. Keep asking her questions, get to the root of it. You know when you got to the bottom of it, when she's like, I feel like nobody really values me around here. Right? And then you can say, I understand. And what you do is you don't have to necessarily agree with her how she approaches it, but you can agree that you can see how that would be. I see. So agree with her state. Yeah, I can see how that is. Yeah, you do a lot around here. You're constantly running around and picking up things and everything else like that. I see that. I totally get it. What would you like? Like, what would you like to have happen? Well, I would like for people to just show me a little appreciation. You're right. So what you're telling me is, and then you can repeat back what she said in the best way that you know. The best way you know, you're going to repeat it back. So there's no mistake on what the fucking solution is. You're going to say, okay, so you yell at the kids because they didn't fold the laundry like they're supposed to, and you feel like you have to do everything around here, and you feel like nobody appreciates you, and really what you'd like is some more help and some more appreciation. Is that true? She's like, yes, that's all I want. I get it. I would want that too. Now we create the frame and structure around the solution. Now she can hear a solution, right? Because she's been hurt. She's felt seen and heard. Hey, I don't like you yelling at the kids. What's going on? She's like, fuck you, whatever. You come in here, you don't take it personally. You say, okay, yeah, I see that you're angry. I get it. I get it. So what sets you off? Why are you yelling at them? Well, no, they don't care about me. It's like, you go, why is that? Why is that? I have to do this. I have to do everything. Okay, cool. Why is that? And this might take some time. This might take you 20, 30 minutes. Okay, I see what's going on. Well, what would you like? I'd like them to be able to do this. Cool. So what you're saying is you want to show more appreciation. You want the kids to like this. And it may seem like very basic elementary stuff that you're doing here when you're saying this to her, but it's important. It's important that you get clear. The problem with most men is they assume how their wives are, and they come to conclusions too fast, and then they fuck everything up. And then she has the argument of, well, he doesn't really listen. He just comes to conclusion, just runs off on his own. He never asked me. And this is like a big complaint that women will have. So you go repeat it back to her, and then you're going to create a plan with her input. And typically, when it has to come with kids, there's usually a dereliction of boundaries and consequences. So you say, okay, well, how about this? Why don't we have the kids, when you do the laundry, we put them over here, and then at this time, every day, they come and they fold their clothes. And she's like, well, that's never going to work. Of course, because you haven't set up boundaries yet. But if you have, and the kids are accustomed to listening to you, then she'll say, that'd be great. Thank you for taking care of it. Then you can go be the enforcer, and you can go handle it. Now, this is the same here, is if she shuts down. Let's say she shuts down and she walks away. Now you're going to come up to her. You're not going to take it personally. She's not leaving you. She still loves you. She's usually just in her own head. She's beating herself up. And so you say, hey, what's going on? You've shut down. I see that you've shut down. And then you say, well, why is that? And she's not going to want to talk. You just say, why is that, why is that, why is that? And just get her to the same place. It's an easier interaction, unless she's trying to hold you in contempt, and she's trying to do the attack, unless what her shutting down is the attack, which would be a very passive-aggressive way of doing it. And if you're with a woman who just shuts down and she stonewalls, well, there's a whole other protocol we'll have to do. If she stonewalls, things are going to have to get really spicy, because you're going to have to get her to stop expect you to be a mind reader. You can't do that. All right, brother, you have seen the frames on how to deal with an argument with your wife. All you're doing is you're not trying to be right. It's not a power struggle. You're trying to figure out what's going on within her and her world, and you got to be strong enough to weather the storm. And you have to be willing to strong enough to stand where you're at and not just be so readily capitulate to whatever it is she's doing. If you can do it, if you can navigate it properly, you can get her to just keep asking questions and get her to tell you what's going on. Then you can create the structure and a plan for how to make that change and make it happen and be effective. Now, if you're still trying to figure this shit out and you don't have boundaries with your kids, and you don't have boundaries with your wife, she's going to not trust the fact that you're going to actually do any of this. She's going to say, okay, yeah, whatever. And then she'll say, you'll just probably forget. You won't do it. And so this is a big problem. So now you've demonstrated that you're a liar. And you can't do that. You have to demonstrate that you always stick to what you say you're going to do. This is part of leading the relationship from the masculine side. If you can't do this, then what's going to happen is she's not going to trust that you're going to do it. And then you're just going to go through this lip service. And then she's going to give you even more resistance the next time you try to open her up to try to figure out what's wrong. She'll be like, okay, we're going to go through all this for what? To what end? We're just going to come back to the same thing all of a sudden. And then she loses her faith in you. Now, maybe she doesn't have much faith in you, in which case you'll say, okay, you don't trust me. That's fine. Well, this is what's going to happen, and then you'll see. And then you'll go do it, and you won't come back and ask her for, like, hey, look, I did it like a good boy, right? And look for that approval. You just do it and handle it because you're tired of having that stuff happen in your house. And this will happen with any kind of an argument, but the thing is the nuance, the magic is in the nuance. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take some practice. It's not going to necessarily work the first time, but as you get better at it, as you start holding space and you're able to bring the structure into the relationship, she'll start to relax more. You'll have less yelling in your house. You'll have less manipulation. You'll have less of everything you don't really like. And trust me, she doesn't want to be that way either. She doesn't. She hates it. And she hates the fact that you can't lead her out of that space. So I've given you a simple framework to use. If you find that you have some other frameworks, go ahead and comment below. I'm not the only guy who knows how to do this kind of stuff. So if you've got some good information, you've got some other tips, tricks for guys, go ahead and put it in the comments below. Maybe I'll include it in another video. I'm always open to learning as well. If you like this video, definitely subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.